Hi there, this is Dr. Laura Ervin-Kassab from the Department of Teacher Education at San Jose State University. This is a mindfulness how-to and a little bit of actually doing the mindfulness video for educators at all levels. So this particular video is one about doing a mindfulness activity I like to call the chair stretch. The chair stretch is really taking advantage of the fact that in a lot of our synchronous sessions, in order to keep our bandwidth small and allow for the best quality of the delivery of instruction, we keep our videos off. So this allows us to actually have some space for doing things that people might feel very self-confident about doing if they actually saw each other face to face. So the premise of this is that mindfulness isn't just about mental health, but also about the physical and emotional health of yourself and your students as well. This activity is perfect for this because we've got our camera turned off. So in order to be able to move into this mindfulness activity, one of the first things you want to do is find a comfortable, relatively quiet space and instruct your students to find a comfortable and relatively quiet space. But before you even do that, this is an exercise that uses music. So ethically, as a teacher, one of the things you really want to think about is, do you have permissions to utilize the music that you're going to use, especially if you're recording a video of yourself teaching and then sharing that to your students. Those videos can sometimes end up like this one out on YouTube. So what you want to do is you want to think about, what is my ethical fair use of music? So for your own experiences, you're going to need to pick a piece of music for students to be able to stretch or move to. You're going to want to look for music that's under a Creative Commons license or a fair use license for education, just to be sure that you're following the guidelines and respecting the artist who created the piece of music. So here on this slide, I have a link to creativecommons.org, and they have some links to free music, Creative Commons approved music. I'll also do another podcast on actually taking you through how to search for, find, and then utilize that music in your own classrooms. So this is a little warning slide, and then there'll be some more instruction on that in a later podcast. So for this activity, these are the instructions. For me, I allow my students to decide whether they want to sit or to stand. Whichever they choose, they want to make sure that they have space to stretch out and move. So before we even get started on this activity, I ask them to stretch their arms out to the sides, to also stretch their arms out forward and backwards and up, to make sure that wherever they are, they're not going to be running into any objects or other people. If they're choosing to stand, they want to do a similar thing, but maybe also looking at how far their legs are going to stretch. What we're going to do now is actually walk through this mindfulness activity. So if you will all get into a position in which your shoulders are aligned with your hips. So if you're sitting, that's a nice straight posture. If you're standing, your shoulders are in line with your hips and your hips are in line with your feet, but you're not standing really stiffly. You're just standing in kind of a relaxed, very straight position. And then what we're going to do is we're going to listen to a piece of music, and while we're listening, allow your body to move and stretch with the music. Let your body kind of take you on a journey of how you feel that music is going. And as you're doing that, pay attention to how your body and your brain are feeling as you're doing the listening and the moving to the music. The piece of music we're going to use is under a Creative Commons license for fair use. This is composed and performed by a person named Chad Crouch, and the title of the piece is Moonrise. So be ready to be present while you move. So that was 1 minute of music. So I'd like you to take just a moment here. You can pause the video if you wish and think about, what did just that 1 minute of stretch time do for you as a person? What might it do for your students? Um, and then go ahead and move on to this next piece, which is thinking like a teacher. So when we're thinking about selecting this music, when I do that activity with my own students who are all training to become teachers, so they're adults, they we talk about what could you do next. You want to think about your purpose in the kind of music you're selecting. So if you're selecting music to come back from an outdoor activity, you might choose a piece similar to what we just did, which is calming students down, but also has a little bit of energy to keep them focused and not falling asleep. If you are first thing in the morning, you might want to have a piece of music that's more active. If you have younger students, you would want to think about shortening or lengthening that piece of music and really picking the music that will go with your purpose, your academic purpose of calming down or revving up. Thinking about what piece of the music would actually be best. So that piece that I played for you is a 4.5 minute long song. I picked just 1 minute of it that would have the dynamics and the pacing that I wanted to help you kind of bring your mind and body together into a mindfulness moment. Also consider how this could be an opportunity for students to learn about music and culture and different cultures and different kinds of music and stretching and movement. So some options that you can have if you're doing this with your students, you could turn your camera on to model or to lead a stretch. You could have participants stand or walk around to the music, especially with pre-K and kinder. You might have students who they're very much more active. So sitting still stretch might be a challenge for them, but they could walk the feelings, right? Have them walk in a small circle and walk their feelings around of how they're reacting to that piece of music. Also asking your students, whether they be elementary or high school or university or preschool, to suggest other kinds of music or actual other pieces of music for future stretches is an opportunity to not only incorporate their funds of knowledge, but also to help have a moment where you can help teach them about Creative Commons and licensing. So thank you again for listening. Just our regular reminder that none of us is as strong as all of us. So post some resources or ideas in the comments below for ways in which you might think about using music in mindfulness. Please consider accessibility and feasibility of using those things in your suggestions. Thank you so much.